Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Finally, we are back, and thank you for your patience while I finished the Hatebreed record. I got the tours in the can. We got the festival announcements coming up. Been busy, and been killing it over on patreon.com/Jasta. So go over and give us a sub on Patreon, and make sure you check out the archives over at gasdigital.com as well. The big news with the label is we have the new Many Eyes coming out. Hopefully, if you hear this episode, this awesome episode we have today with Fugitive, if you're hearing it on Friday, the new EP is out. Go support Keith and Nikki and the boys in Many Eyes. I should say the new single is out. The single is called The Clock Behind All Other Clocks, and that is from the upcoming EP Combust, which is dropping September 19th through my label, and it's going to be great. I think you guys are really going to dig this. Don't forget, Many Eyes is hitting the East Coast on a headlining tour starting September 25th in Albany, so go and pre-order it now at martyrstore.net. And while I have you, let's thank our sponsor, Blue Grape Music. Go get the new Gridiron Poetry from Pain. Go stream the new single from Fugitive, Spheres of Virulence. Check out their website, bluegrapemusic.com, for all their new releases, tour information, and where to get your physical copies of all the releases. Head on over to store.bluegrapemusic.com after the podcast today and tell them Jasta sent you. Today's episode is also brought to you by Reigning Phoenix Music. Check out the new Inside album. They also have releases from Wolfheart, Kerry King, Halloween, and many more. We just toured with Insight. They killed it. Love those dudes. Make sure you go get Savage New Times over at shopus.reigningphoenixmusic.com. You'll see they got a ton of music, vinyl, merch, box sets, DVDs, Blu-rays, bundles, cassettes, CDs, vinyl, and more. reigningphoenixmusic.com. One more thing before we get to today's episode with Blake and Seth from Fugitive. Check out my Depop. We got a sale going on all week. If you all weekend actually, if you go and you bundle any items, you get 10% off. So at one or more items, two or more items, bundle, it'll save you 10% right at checkout. Check out depop.com/Jasta. Let's talk to Seth and Blake from Fugitive. Hit the music.
My friend, the lead singer of Hatebreed, the infamous and notorious Jamey Jasta, is in the building. That's what's up.
Jamey Jasta from the metal band Hatebreed. That guy's famous.
Coffee, death metal, and push-ups.
That's Jamey Jasta. Remember Jamey Jasta? You know him. He's a podcaster, but he's also a metal man. I would say he leads that.
That shit is hard.
Your host, Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed. Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed.
What is up? Thanks for joining in. We got Blake and Seth from Fugitive and Power Trip in the house playing Milwaukee Metal Fest Friday, May 16th. And I just left LA. I was jamming with SOD with Scott and Rev yesterday, and Scott said you're going to jump up and play with SOD for a song too.
Yeah. I think I made some joke to my buddy Jay Rusted, who's recording them, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm so excited to play with SOD." And I've met Scott and the Anthrax guys a few times. So I just said something. I was like, SOD is like, that's one of my favorite records, and I would like kill to play with them. And then I think he said something, and Scott hit me up. I was like, I'm down to do that, because like I that's like in my DNA, that album.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So you guys just got back from Europe when? How long have you been back?
About a month.
Yeah.
All right.
About a month. Yeah.
And it was amazing to see all the videos. Crowds were massive. I was super happy for you guys. I mean, talk about just an incredible opportunity to go out and do arenas. Yeah. What was it like? What was the best show? What was the high point of the tour?
Oh man. It was, for me at least, it was just like, I can't believe that this is happening like every day. Like this is fucking crazy. like, just pulling up and seeing like the facilities and seeing like the whole crew and everything every day was like, man, this is crazy. But
biggest crowds you ever played in front of?
for me, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we had played one arena back in I think 2018 with Misfits. I think it was in 2018, and that was the only time I'd played an arena. So it was still pretty new, and yeah, I think the biggest crowds. I don't know. We played like Download Festival back in 2020, and we played some pretty big fests. So I think that was probably the biggest we played. But yeah, I mean, with this current lineup, we hadn't played anything nearly that big. I think we played to like 3,000 people maybe, or I guess at No Values. No Values was probably like, what do you think that was? Like 15?
That was about 15.
15. Yeah. So it was like we kind of actually, I guess in thinking about it now, we'd kind of, but it looks different when you're at a fest versus in an arena where everyone's kind of like, up in the rafters and shit, not rather than just like going really far back.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it seemed like you guys had a good set time too. Like it seemed like you played to the majority of the crowd, which is great. Was there an opener?
There was 2 openers. There was Child Bite from Detroit, and then King Parrot from Australia.
the first they split the tour. So like the first half of the tour, it was Child Bite, and then the second half was King Parrot. So like there was just one opener every night, but it was they kind of like did half the tour each. So the second half, King Parrot, yeah. So we were like 2 out of 3. So yeah, I think we played around 8 every night, and it was pretty much full every night. So it was nice just to, yeah. I mean, you walk out there and the place is, everyone's there ready to see Pantera. So we were just hoping that people wouldn't get tired of us and like, root for Pantera to get on the stage faster. Luckily they were down. Like the crowds were really, really cool and really receptive, and didn't hate us. Even probably liked us, I guess, in a lot of places. So it went better than I think anybody thought it would. Not that we weren't really worried, but I think we were just sort of like, I have no idea how this is going to go, So we're just happy that it worked out, that it was a good time.
We opened for him in Poland, and we were in that slot. We went right before Crowbar, went right before us. Pantera closed it out. Big arena show. And what I noticed was this super young, like new generation of kids that never got to see Pantera that they're the gateway band, and they're just so happy to hear those songs live in a huge setting with the pyro and the lights and everything. So the fun, cool atmosphere. I actually think that that's probably the best setting to see Pantera in this form, because you don't have any of that hater energy. It's only people that have come to enjoy, and they fully know what they're getting into. It's not like at the festivals where you got these, I call them the impress me bros, like, the guys that are like, all right, I'm going to check this out, but it's not really Pantera, like those dudes. Really cool. It was cool to see them in that setting, and then see Charlie and Zach really rise to the occasion and just nail it and just knock it out of the park. But I found on that show, and I guess this is a question for you, Seth. I found on that show, I switched up the banter a little bit, obviously because it's Poland, and I talk a little slower. I had different banter in between songs, and it's different banter from a headline show. But what was your go-to? Like, you're just telling them to circle pit? Are you telling them to jump? Are you telling them to beat the shit out of each other, or
run in a circle, get that circle pit going? They love that shit, and it was awesome, man. Like pretty much every crowd was like, I think was it Switzerland where there was or maybe it was Italy, I can't remember, but there was a circle pit behind front of house. There was a circle pit in front.
Yeah. At some shows there would be like 2 separate pits. That happened at a few shows, like because there were some videos from above that people sent us where it's like, there's one pit right here, and then like 50 feet back there's another pit happening. So people were having a good time. I think that's the cool thing. I mean, if they're there to see Pantera, and that all the excitement from that, I think they were just open to like, hey, whoever Pantera brought with them, like this is all part of the show. This is like, they get the cosign, so it seemed like they were down. You know, they just wanted to have a good time.
Yeah,
it's like fists in the air. I think I even did the wave. Like I think I started on one side of the arena.
We did some a few wall of deaths, and I think we had to. I think Pantera's people actually, after a few of those, were like, probably not a great idea to do that, just because like the liability and stuff. You know how it goes over there. You never know with what can happen, and you know, someone gets in trouble, someone gets hurt. You know, so and it even happened even when we were just playing. I think a couple times people were kind of hurt, but we're usually good at, you know, seeing if something's going on, if the crowd's like telling you to stop. So we had to stop a couple shows while someone was getting you know, medical attention or whatever. So
they get caught in a mosh over there. It's weird how they allow some bands to do it, and then some, like us, we're always told by the venue. It's never really like the headliners or the promoters. Sometimes it's like the venue or the local security that are like, hey, you guys don't do this. That's why we brought out the Ball of Death instead.
Yeah.
So you know, but back in the day, like we used to, you know, tour with Sick of It All, and all those bands would do it. And I'm like, someone's going to die. And then Lamb of God got to do it every day on Ozfest. Meanwhile, I had to sign a contract saying like, I can't say any of the shit.
Right. If you incite it, then it's almost like you're liable for whatever happens, I guess.
Right. But you know, it was fine. At the end of the day, the bands that brought it back, I thought it was cool. You know, they paid homage to Sick of It All, starting it. But so as far as Texas is concerned, Pantera Power Trip happening in Europe was a huge victory. Like I felt like an honorary Texan. Like I just felt like, oh, that's so super cool. Did they ever talk about taking you out in Texas or doing like a bunch of shows in Texas?
There was like, you know, the tour that they're doing right now that they just announced for the US. There were some like discussions about us joining them on that one with Mon Amarth, but just didn't really pan out. I think they already got two big bands, you know, on the tour, and like they don't really need us, you know. Even though it would be cool for us to play together again in the US, but it just I think it just, you know, they already had everything set up for that. But they did reach out to us a couple of times about like our availability and whatnot. So it would have been cool. I know Phil like was, when we were kind of on tour hanging out with him, he had mentioned like he wanted to try to get us on the Dallas show or something like that. And, you know, but you know, it's not always up to us or him or whatever. There's always like, you know, find, you know, things that you have to hash out that actually make a show happen or not. So, you know, maybe it could still happen. I don't know. I haven't really heard anything in a while, but I think they were trying for a second. I know, like, I think Benante was kind of pushing for us to get on there or whatever. So, but you know, hey, it could happen again in the future. I don't know. We had a really great time with them. We'd always be down to play with them again.
Yeah, awesome.
Is that tour hitting? So that tour is hitting Texas, but is it just doing Dallas?
They're doing
Dallas, Austin,
maybe San Antonio or something.
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think they have like two Texas shows. One's Dallas because they haven't really played. Pantera hasn't done a proper they haven't done a Dallas show other than they played that with Metallica. You know,
right?
They did that, but they haven't. I think on one of their previous US things they did Austin, but they didn't do Dallas yet. So this is like their first Dallas headlining show since, you know, the heyday.
And didn't you guys play the pre-party or something on that show?
Fugitive did, yeah.
Yeah, Fugitive played. We did like a Metallica. You know, they did a M72 weekends around their shows or whatever. So we played like we were supposed to play outside of the arena when they played, and then also play a headlining show. And I think it was so hot outside that summer that they canceled the outdoor arena thing. But we still played like a M72 headliner show at Southside Ballroom with like 200 Stab Wounds and some other bands like before I think was it the night before it was the Saturday after the Friday show, because they did Friday and Sunday. So yeah, we got to sort of be a part of that, but we got to go to the Metallica Pantera show, and like they gave us Snake Pit tickets and everything. So we got to, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was fucking sick.
Yeah, that's rad. We did one back in the day. We got to play in the parking lot when they did Giant Stadium, and it was sick. And then I think we started, I don't know, something happened. We were banned from Giant Stadium. So we've never been asked back.
Yeah. Are you guys Steelers fans?
No. I can't, honestly, I can't take football anymore. I tried. Every year I try to get into like another sport, or I try to get into a sport in general, because I'll go, I'm the same way with bands. I just go, oh, I used to be into it, or if I was never into it, I go, I'm not into it yet.
Yeah.
So, but why? Are you guys Cowboys fans? Are you both originally from Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yes, to being Texas. I mean, I'm not really a football dude.
We're big. Me and Nick, we're big football fans. And obviously, we are Cowboys fans. We're angry Cowboys fans, but I'm not going to say I'm not a Cowboys fan. Of course we are, but we're just like, we're at our breaking point right now, and then the Mavs on top of that is just a disaster. So, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the Stars? Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to get into hockey.
Oh yeah. We're Stars.
Cool.
All the Dallas
Stars,
teams.
Rangers.
Stars and Rangers are like, yeah, they're Rangers are gonna have a great year. Stars are doing really well, so we're behind them for sure. But
and
yeah,
that guy at the DJ at the arena, he plays a lot of metal, right?
Yeah, for the Stars for sure.
Yeah,
I forget his name. It's like DJ. I'm totally blanking on his name, but he's really. I think it's Gruber. Michael Gruber, I think is his name. I want to say, I could be totally wrong, but yeah, he's like, he plays Dallas bands, and he plays us at a lot of Stars games. Like, I always see videos people send me of like the power, and they're playing our song. Like, I think even when we were in the Stanley Cup, someone sent me like one of the home games that was like on ABC or whatever it was on. You could hear the song in the background. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a clip on Twitter, and I was like, holy shit, that's badass. And then he played Live for This too, and someone I think at the Golden Knights was playing metal at the games too. So I love when you get a little bit of, I guess you could call that a little mainstream love every now and then.
Yeah, like they it seems like hockey's conducive to metal because they always play like Pantera, they play stuff like that, and yeah, it's cool that they do that. It's like what sports did that.
What kind of dog do you have? Because I was at Scott Ian's house yesterday, and he's got a little, I don't know what it is, but it's the cutest dog ever. And it's a girl, but they named it Grizzly.
What kind of dog I have? Actually, give me a second. I'm going to go grab him because he's driving me crazy. But I have a Jack Russell, I have a Rottweiler, and an Australian cattle dog.
He lives in an animal house. He's a zookeeper over there.
Nice. Yeah. My place is turning into that a little bit now too, but I have a Chinese crested. Me and Corey Taylor both have Chinese crested. It's like the most non-metal dog. Oh, what's his name or her name?
His name's Hank.
Hank, he's a good boy.
He can be.
I always wanted a Jack Russell.
Oh, they're great.
Because they're hilarious. They got their own little fucking crazy personalities.
He's a little mastermind. We call him, it's like the pinky in the brain. He's brain, and our Rottweiler's pinky or whatever.
He's pretty smart. He knows what's going on. You look at him, he's like,
say that again. You were breaking up a little bit.
He's just a smart dog. Like, he's just outsmarting our Rottweiler all the time, outsmarting me all the time. He's just a little brainiac.
Yeah, I feel like if you had a big yard, like I just moved into this place not too long ago, and I feel like if I had a Jack Russell, I'd be finding like dinosaur bones and shit, and like gold and like time capsules from the 1800s. And
oh, he definitely finds a lot of shit. He's funny. They're great dogs.
Did you guys ever go down any like Texas history rabbit holes? Because for whatever reason, I went down, I was writing a song. Actually, I was writing lyrics for the new Hatebreed record. And I was writing about like a subject, but I was writing about prisoners of war because I was trying to do like a song that's not necessarily personal, but it's kind of personal, like more like of a story song. And I went on this prisoners of war. My father served in Vietnam, so I have some relationship to it, but it wasn't going to be about him or any of his friends. It was going to be about just prisoners of war in general. And I went down this rabbit hole and I found out that during World War II, there was 70 POW camps in Texas. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Wow.
And it was like they had everybody, like Italians, Japanese, Germans. And I think they were in San Pedro, San Antonio's, and then I think it was called Spring Parks. Do you know where that is?
I don't.
Spring Park. There's a lot of spring.
There's a lot of spring spring.
Yeah.
Gale.
Spring. Yeah, there's like a millions. There's a city called Spring, right? The suburb out. Yeah,
Houston,
a lot of springs here.
So then from there, I started just reading through about all this other Texas history of, when it became a state, when Austin became the capital instead of Houston and all that stuff. And I was like, man, Texas has a fascinating history, but did you guys ever look into any of that?
We had to take like Texas history, like growing up, but past that, I've done like a little bit of researching here and there, but I didn't know we had POW camps. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild that they shipped the people over. I tried to find how they got them there and what what their crimes were and stuff. I haven't gone that deep, but I just got basically kind of like to the surface level and then got distracted. Also, I don't know how you guys do the lyric process, but what I'll do is if I'm not writing about something personal, I try to really research the topic and then see what words I want to be repetitive or like what words I want to be the gang vocal, and then I build it around that. What is the plan for new material, and what is like your process for what will your process be for writing lyrics going forward?
And right now, I'm just kind of writing about things that are, not really. I try not to write a lot of stuff that's super personal, I should say. I guess if I try to make it more like not unifying. I don't know how to explain it, but I try not to do like a lot of eyes or anything like that. But right now, I'm just like searching different things that I guess are inspiring to me or things that are motivating me to write about.
So when you did say like the one we were listening to in the intro, Blast Furnace.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's a good it's a good word combination and it's 3 syllables. And I'm a big 3-syllable fan.
Okay.
But do you start with the topic and then you just build on the topic, or did you start with the line or start with the chorus? And what is that song about?
I think it's been different for every song that we've done. Like some songs will have like the chorus and then some songs we won't. It just kind of comes to us. But for Blast Furnace, that's basically just about like, I guess like the church establishment and how it's just kind of like, it's just kind of, blast furnace. You get in there, changes you, molds you, and maybe not into a good thing. But I guess like the big thing for me, I won't name the establishment, but there's a organization in town that was it's a religious organization, and they were bringing in like sex workers to like rehabilitate them, but they don't have the means to rehabilitate these people, and they were exploiting them and using them for like different seminars and things like that. And so yeah, that was kind of like the big one for that song.
I was gonna say, like, usually when we get together and we're working on it, like I usually have like a song that's arranged a certain way. So it's like, this is the verse, chorus, bridge, everything. So we kind of work together like that. And I'll usually tell him, hey, this is where I want you to, this is where we should do this. This is where we should do that. And then, he kind of like, because the big thing I always harp on is like the hook, you know what I mean? So the chorus is huge. And then obviously the song title and the lyric, whatever it is. But like, I want a good song title. I want like a good hook, something memorable. So like it usually, yeah, he's right. Like sometimes we start like with the chorus, but we definitely make sure we have that And sometimes we've had that, but then sometimes, you know, the song sort of materializes and you don't have that chorus hook. And then it like, you got to bring it together using whatever we had from the rest of the song. So sometimes like it's the last thing. Like we have all these lyrics and we have these verses, like how's this chorus gonna go, you know? But then sometimes he comes in and it's like, oh yeah, Blast Furnace is right there, you know what I mean? Or Standoff or whatever it was, like, you know, sometimes it works out that way, but sometimes it kind of has to come to you, you know? And sometimes if you have the rest of the song in context, it shows itself a little easier, you know? You don't want something that sounds too much like the verse, or you have to be able to, you know, differentiate between the parts. But I'm very much like, I'm a big song guy, you know. I'm pretty like old school when it comes to how I want to do things, and like how simple we want it to be, and catchy or whatever. So
Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. It's easy to get started. Just choose more or less on player stat projections. If you pick right, you can cash in. For me, I'm picking my boy Geno Smith from Vegas. I'm excited. Let me know what your picks are. With Prize Picks, cashing out is quick. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more. And Prize Picks even has Flex Play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Download the app today and use code JASTA to get $50 in lineups after you play for your first $5 lineup. That's code JASTA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Back to the show. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the title being in the song, you know, searching it out, because I've made that mistake of like having the title be artsy, and then the kids come up to signing and they're like, man, my favorite song is Born to Bleed, even though the song is called In Ashes They Shall Reap, and they just and they're searching they're searching Born to Bleed, and it's Born to Bleed on.
Like whatever you say in the fucking chorus is what this song is called, like to these people, you know what I mean? I get it, because I would think the same thing. Like, you know, it's whatever you say. So and like, even if it's not the main thing you say, but it's in there, that's, you know, like we have a new song that's going to come out pretty soon, and it's called Spheres of Virulence, and it's not the main thing he says, but it's at the end. It's like Iron Fist by Motorhead. You know, on Iron Fist, like he says, you know me, you know me, you know me, but then he says Iron Fist at the end, and it's like, oh yeah, that works. Like that's the song title, you know. But if he didn't say Iron Fist at all, you would think the song was called You Know Me, you know?
Right. And he kind of missed an opportunity, not just repeating Iron Fist. It would have been hard as shit. When we did the tour, I was like, man, they really blew it with that. like that would have been hard, just going, you know, having the call and answer and having the crowd sing Iron Fist or whatever. But I love all that. I think Motorhead's a great example. Priest is a great example too, because Painkiller, Firepower, like any of those are great. But also what you did with Blast Furnace is cool, because now that you explained it, you're using that as a metaphor for someone who's being put through it, right? Being forged by a flame they didn't choose, right? It's and that's important too, right? Like having it be not so on the nose when you can, because I find that the songs that, when the people actually do take the time to read the lyrics, like, you know, we have this song called Seven Enemies where people always come up to me and they're like, I wish a motherfucker would try, because it says I wish a motherfucker would try, but they don't know the next line is actually like it's a plea for help. Like, I wish a motherfucker would try, but not meaning like, oh, I'm gonna fucking shoot this dude or fight this dude, but just try to like pay attention and consider people and what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, you know, you're doing the same thing on Blast Furnace, where if people were to read into it or hear this, you know, they would go, okay, yeah, this is not your typical metal song. It's based off something true and pretty horrific, it sounds like. Yeah. Is it something that has it been reported on that we can look up? Because I went down this rabbit hole of the other day. I was like on this Satanic Panic kick. That's another song. I got another song on the new Hatebreed. It's going to be about Satanic Panic. and it's like the Franklin scandal. Did you ever hear this?
I don't know.
Because when you said that, it made me think of that. Like, oh boy, I wonder if they were in there in Texas.
I don't know. What is that exactly? What you said? The Franklin what?
The Franklin scandal. Let's see if Michael can
I don't
pull
know.
up anything. It's one of those ones where they said it was debunked and then it really wasn't debunked. Like it was. They said it's a fucked up. One of the articles I read, it was basically there was these kids. It might have been in Nebraska. It was they found these kids and they were obviously being abused. They were by a park or something. There's a whole podcast. Mike, can you pull up? I'm not sure if it's it might be on Amazon. There's a book too. I think it's called The Story of Power Brokers. You can listen to it on Audible. I think it's called Story of Power Brokers, Child Abuse and Betrayal by let's see. A chilling expose of corporate corruption and government cover-ups. This is a nationwide child trafficking and pedophilia ring in the United States. Tells a sordid tale of corruption in high places. The scandal originally surfaced during the investigation into Omaha, Nebraska's failed Franklin Credit Union that went beyond the Midwest, ultimately to Washington, D.C., implicating businessmen, senators, major media corporations, the CIA, and even Boys Town organizations that extensively researched reports, firsthand interviews with key witnesses, and explores a controversy that has received scant media attention. But yeah, it's a fucked up one. It's very dark and very depressing. I don't recommend anybody. You gotta really digest that carefully.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go too like what when you said you're doing a new song, is it a new song for Fugitive or for Power Trip?
Fugitive.
Okay, so you're not married to any sort of topics, right? Like you can sing about whatever you want in Fugitive, and it's not going to be like a concept record where you're.
No.
I think it's kind of whatever he is thinking. You know, like I'm just kind of like, you know, whatever inspires him, you know. And I don't know. I like things that don't really fit into a box, you know. Like if one song's about one thing, one song's something else, you know. We don't really have like a theme or anything, but it's pretty much whatever this guy, because he's the guy that writes lyrics, you know. I'm not a lyricist myself, you know. I can lend a hand here and there and help with songwriting stuff, phrasing stuff, and all that, but he's the lyric guy, you know. He's the brain.
Yeah, and if you do go into some of those dark topics, you come away with something like you don't ever get to kind of unsee or unhear that stuff. So you have to balance it. Like that's why I always try to balance stuff on our records with positive stuff, especially if I'm going to be singing it every night.
Yeah.
Because you're really like you're bringing it to light. Like I have songs about killing child abusers and stuff in the past on past records. So when you're talking about that, you don't know what sort of ripple effect that has. So you kind of need to, otherwise I'll just go full morbid, like full on like nihilistic. And I'm always trying to fight that guy off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think lately I feel like with some of the songs, I feel like you've just been going into like shit that pisses you off, but writing about it in a way that's metaphorical and maybe kind of thought provoking, but not just like fuck that guy over there, but maybe like,
it's just kind of like, like observing and things that are just pissing me off, I guess, in the general state of the world, which I mean, there's a lot to write about in that regard. But
yeah, there's no shortage. I like the Scott Ian approach because if he hits the wall, he'll go just like dig through comics or dig through books and then kind of make something musical. And that was a really fun thing for me on the last Hatebreed because I just went through a bunch of Conan comics and made lines or words musical, and it was great to just step outside of my own world and have and no one knew, like no one ever, no one figured it out until I started talking about it. But there's songs that like instinctive. It's just basically from the standpoint of Conan the Barbarian, but it's the metaphor is also kind of like being about trusting your instincts and not falling prey to certain ideas or certain people's actions or whatever.
Yeah.
I think with Seth, it's like it seems to me like he comes from it like I'm a normal guy and this is the way I see things and what I experience, and as opposed to like being on a pedestal, like this is how I think. Some people write lyrics like that. I know everything about the world and this is how I see it, and this is like everything that's wrong with it. But I think with Seth, it's more of just like, this is the way I see it. This is how I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? And this is, you might see it the same way too, but I'm just going to tell you how I see it,
I guess the best way I could say is like,
yeah,
I'm a big history guy. So it's like, I want to try to write it from like, it's almost like I'm documenting history, but it's like, in I guess it's like a metaphorical way or like a poetic way. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think also just in listening to the stuff recently, I get like a little bit of John Tardy influence in your vocals, which is really cool to hear over thrash, even though you have some kind of death metal influence parts too and some hardcore kind of influence parts, but it's I don't think that's really been done. Like your style is very unique for thrash. Like was he an influence, and how did you land on that style as opposed to something, thrash is usually kind of more barky or talky. Like I was telling Scott Ian yesterday, like, hey, I'm going to kind of scream this more, Milano kind of like talks and barks and raps real fast, and I'm going to kind of just scream it.
I think the big thing is like just with my voice, like it's easier for me to like carry it out. And yeah, Tardy's like a big influence. I love John Tardy, love Obituary. But it's just like the real rapid thing with that style just doesn't like it's hard, And so like being able to like carry it out and kind of hold it is more my style.
That's a big, yeah, I was gonna say that's a big thing that I definitely harp on when we're writing is like really trying to write stuff that accentuates his voice and that's easy for him to sing, because it's really easy to, even as a guitar player, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, it's really easy to just write something that you could maybe record, or you could punch in, or you could do whatever, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing for you, like your skill set, and for him, it's like to hear, how great his voice is, it's better for him to do stuff that's like, yeah, certain vocal phrasings that allow him to follow through and like carry his voice rather than trying to, fit a bunch of syllables into one line or one thing. And we've like, it's kind of trial and error, because we even, I might have an idea of a phrasing for a part, and then we'll kind of start doing it. And, he's always down to try anything, but I think we will listen back to it and go, well, what if we just like simplified this a little bit? And it's always ends up coming out, I think, the right way, and like better for the song and better for the feel and for his voice, like singing it. I don't want to make him like try to do anything that he doesn't want to do, or that like would be hard to do live or not comfortable, but I think as we keep writing songs, we get better about figuring out what that balance is, and like you said, in thrash it's different. So it's like some of like our natural thrash instincts might be to go faster or to do this or that, and then we have to kind of balance that with like, oh, but this is a different vocal style, so now we're sort of figuring that out, and it's getting easier.
It's cool because it sets you apart, and just you explaining that now, I feel like that was a wise way to explain it. Like you're wise beyond your years, young Blake. You're
well, it's not my first rodeo. I mean,
you're coming up with cool stuff, because I for some reason I was connected to the internet next door. I don't even know how. So I'm like, why is this so lagged? Like, what is going on? And then I connect to this, and then now it's blazing fast.
There we go.
But there is something kind of beautiful about like the rapid fire shit. Like I was having fun doing it yesterday, but man, it is tough. Like, and then to memorize it and be like, because you think, when you're listening to it as a fan, you think it's going to be easy. Like you think, Okay, yeah, like kill yourself. Can't take it, never would. Time to end it, wish you would. Friends and family, they're all gone. Life for you is just a con. Dig yourself to the ground, push the day, sit it down, take it to by the farm, inject a bubble into your arm, kill yourself, kill yourself. I'm like, Jesus, bro. And Scott's laughing, but it only works for a certain vocal style. It works if you're Billy, it works if you're Kurt from DRI, it works if you're Tony from Municipal.
Tom Araya.
Yes.
He did it on Undisputed Attitude, and on obviously Slayer, but you really hear him do that on Undisputed Attitude when they're doing those covers and stuff. He's doing that rapid fire thing and like Can't Stand You and shit. I mean, it's the same exact thing. You can only do that if you sing like that,
Right. The second verse is like, life is just a one-way ticket. Life is just a one-way ticket. Everyone must go around. Here's a bucket, go and kick it. Slit your wrists without a sound. When you go, don't make a big deal. No dramatic. I was like, Jesus, bro. No dramatics. Don't overplay. Because you don't know. I can't even remember the rest of it, but I got to remember it by May 16th.
Yeah. But, what's funny about that is that, like, with doing these power trip songs, like when we first started the band, Riley had a way different vocal style where he was actually he was still projecting, but he would do a lot more talky stuff. He was kind of more yelling, and it was like a hardcore thing, because we obviously come from the hardcore punk scene. So it's like, he was doing a lot of that. So like, even some of the we don't play a lot of really early stuff, but even stuff like, there's a song Hammer of Doubt that we wrote in like 2009 or 10. And that was like when he was sort of right before he transitioned into like his more Seth like aggressive vocal style that was a little more death metal-y and stuff. And some of those songs are like really hard. That I think they were kind of hard for him to sing as his voice changed. And then
definitely like at first when I started trying to like learn them, it was just like, man, this is a lot of words.
Yeah.
And the thing is like he's an amazing writer. So it's just like, I'm also reading it like, wow, this guy is amazing. And then I'm trying to learn all the phrasing. I'm like, oh my God, there are so many fucking words.
Yeah. And that's another important thing about that is that, like, Riley was very, me and him would always kind of go back and forth because he was very much like, obviously very passionate about writing, but he really wanted everything that he was writing to be kind of like one fluid thought, like at a time. He wanted it to almost be like how he wrote it was exactly how it came out. And I was more of like a song first guy in terms of like, well, hey, if you break this up a little bit and it fits the phrasing of the song and the part, that's more important because your lyrics are your lyrics. Like they're going to be there no matter what. But, we would kind of go back and forth about that. And I think, some of that early stuff, it is more like that. Like there's some songs where he's packing a lot of lyrics into certain parts and it works for what it is, but like, it's not how we would do it now. So I think when we're going back and like Seth's learning some of those songs or playing some of those songs, it's like, damn, there's a lot of lyrics here. And obviously like, had he written that 10 years later, Riley, like he probably would have done it a little differently too, just based on the way he was singing at that point. But it's just a different way of writing, a different way of doing it. But so like our early stuff has a lot more of, like you just said, like that SOD type thing. Like there's more of that rapid fire thing that's just like harder for us to pull off now,
Yeah, and SOD is a great example of tease the chorus, riff or play it, then do the verse, let the verse breathe for 4 the first time, and then 2 the second time, and 2 the third time. I was never a big third verse guy. And actually, in the first Hatebreed EP, in the first album, I think we just do like one verse. It'll be like verse, chorus, breakdown, end.
Yeah.
But
I like that way. I like that way of doing it. Sorry, go ahead.
But are you opposed to the third verse? Like, would you have that in the new Fugitive?
Well, the thing is like, I'm always battling when I'm arranging and like writing stuff is, I'm taking everything into account because like, I'm like a kind of a pop rock nerd too. So I'm big on like, I know exactly like when the bridge should happen. Generally it's like 2.5 minutes. I don't really want to go further than that when I'm like writing a song. Like I want the bridge or the tempo change to happen at 2.5 minutes. And then, like I want the vocals to come in by a certain time if I can, but that's tough because I'm always like trying to do the Metallica thing where I like kind of introduce the song first and get everybody headbanging. And then I want the vocals to come in. So like, it's third verse is, I usually just opt for the bridge, like I want the bridge to happen. And that's kind of almost functions as a third verse. But by the time you want to bring the chorus back around, you're kind of running out of time. So I feel like doing one more verse. We did actually, I was going to say this, the one song that we do that this song on the last Power Trip album called Crucifixation, we play like one verse and then a chorus, and then the breakdown happens, which kind of turns into the bridge. And then we do the second verse after the bridge. And then so there's those two verses, but it almost feels like it's a third verse because it happens. The second verse, you could argue, would be the guitar solo. So it's like, it always feels like we're playing a third verse on that song, but we actually we jump into the tempo change in the breakdown, like after the first chorus, so it's like, it feels like it, but it's not,
And do you do the Exodus trick where you change the rhythm underneath the solo so there's less notes to clash?
Sometimes I do. On a couple songs, I think I've done that. Or I'll just play like a different riff altogether. But yeah, I mean, sometimes like maybe if the riff has a lot of like higher octave chords in it, maybe I'll go down to the lower octave, and I'll strip it down. Like I think I do that in some songs where I'll sort of, instead of, like you said, playing the busier notes in the higher chords, I'll drop it down low so it's just kind of like a flatter, more basic thing. I'll do that for the verse too. Like I'll strip the verse down to where there's less happening, like on what song is it? Like Heretic's Fork or something, where like it's kind of the same rhythm as the main riff, but I just drop it down to like a more open riff. So there's more of like a, canvas for the vocals to take shape however they want, I like the verse to be a little more, like less competition, less stuff clashing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you do like a modulation of it, right? That's always a nice trick, especially if it's gonna set up the pre-chorus or set up the solo. I've been talking a lot about this because I'm still talking to different producers. I'm even thinking about using different producers for the vocals on a couple tracks just to make the vocal phrasing different. Just get out of my comfort zone with the phrasing, and maybe, but I do want more solos because we've been able to, we were anti-solo for so long, but now with Wayne, he's kind of had some really high points in the last couple albums with the solos. But yeah, it's interesting when you got a great riff. You never want to take a great riff and put it as a bridge if it's going to be a solo, right? You want the solo to stand out. You don't want it to be like, oh, they should have just played that riff on its own. That riff would have been great as a breakdown or great as a verse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just totally forgot about this, but we kind of do that in Blast Furnace because, like, I guess it's like an extension of the chorus, but I basically play like you said, like a modulation. Like I go down an octave and I strip the riff down. So instead of the chorus riff, it has like these high octaves in it. What I do is I basically break that down to like a more open riff, and then I change the tail, and it's all the same phrasing of the chorus riff, but it ends up being an extension of the chorus. But then we basically just use that riff for the solo. So instead of soloing over all the and all those notes, it's just a more stripped down basic version with the same phrasing as the chorus riff. So like, yeah, I'm a big fan of doing that.
Yeah,
that's the most relevant example.
Well, and it helps the solo to be just more catchy, I think, because you're not locked in. And I think that's what everybody wants nowadays. At least that's what I want. I want those solos. Like I can hum you Mike Amat solos or Marty Friedman solos, or I mean, we could go through a bunch of different players, but those solos that are just classic. You can whistle them, you can hum them. The crowd will sing them in South America, or in some places. Hey everybody, quick interruption letting you know you could have heard this episode way sooner if you just subscribed over at gasdigital.com or over at patreon.com/Jasta. I've been off for 3 months working on the new Hatebreed record, finishing the new Many Eyes, of course, working on tours, Milwaukee Metal Fest, and other great plans for the future. But now the podcast is coming back full force, and we need your support. Support our sponsors and support us over at patreon.com/Jasta, as well as gasdigital.com. While I have you, make sure you support our sponsor, Reigning Phoenix Music. Head on over to shopus.reigningphoenixmusic.com. Pick up the new Insight album, Savage New Times. Insight just played Summer Slaughter with us in this past July, and they absolutely killed it. Plus, RPM has new releases from groups like Cold Slither, Amorphous, Wolfheart, Kerry King, and many others. Check out rainingphoenixmusic.com. All you got to do is sign up for their email list, and you can get 10% off. Big thanks to Raining Phoenix Music. Now back to the show. But I'm looking at your record collection behind you, and I never knew this was a thing until recently, but I don't have an answer for you as far as my collection goes, but what's your most expensive, most rare like CD or vinyl that you own, you think?
Well, actually, all my LPs are in the other room. So this is kind of my office. I have like tapes and CDs in here, but I have all my LPs are in the other room. I have some in here, like my newer shit, but most expensive, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I actually have a whole wall, like a whole shelf full of 45s. So I collect like old 45s from the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Really?
90s. Yeah, I'm like a big nerd with like old 70s 45s. Like on my wall, I have like up here, I got like the Beatles and Kiss and the Cars and Alice Cooper, AC/DC, Judas Priest. Like I got all the classics. So I'd say probably my most expensive record is probably a 45 because, some of them like they might have made one picture sleeve for the single in one country in like 1974. You know what I mean? So like that stuff's like, like LPs, vintage. There's some really rare LPs out there, but a lot of times you can get them if you want them. But some of these, it's like even if you want it, you can't find it because they just like don't exist. So I think. I don't know. My most expensive one might be, I have a, the band Big Star, the 70s rock band. Yeah, they did one picture sleeve 45 with like a cover ever. And it came out in Brazil in like 1972. And I have that on my wall.
Right on. Nice. So,
yeah.
And what about you, Seth?
I have no idea what mine would be. No idea.
Probably a test press or something or whatever, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All mine are in the other room. I don't know.
But you're not into the 60s and 70s stuff.
I like 60s and 70s stuff, but like I'm just not much of a collector. Definitely not like Blake.
Yeah,
Blake has a fucking museum over there.
Oh, what'd you say?
There's a museum over there.
Yeah, it honestly is kind of. One day it will be a better museum if I get a bigger house. But I have some cool shit, and I got like posters and stuff. Like I like artifacts and I'm into the old shit. So, going on tour a lot and like going to Europe and being able to find a lot of this stuff, it just sort of like became a pastime of mine. And then, yeah, that's the only thing I really spend my money on and like that I'm into,
So you're like the guy that gets like the Tony Martin, Black Sabbath, Peruvian 12-inch with a different cover. And
yeah, I got a bunch of Black Sabbath on this last tour. Like I got some really sick Black Sabbath shit. I could pull it out. Hold up. I'll show you something.
So you got, wow.
Yeah. I got some cool shit. Like I got
Headless Cross and what's the other?
I got this. Like I got like Kiss. This is like Dark Star, this old new wave of British heavy metal band. I got Motorhead. I got let me find a Sabbath one because the Sabbath ones are really sick. I got like it's like one of the first Motorhead 45s.
How much was that?
Paranoid, Black Sabbath. Van Halen, Unchained, one of the best songs. Oh yeah, here you go. Like Black Sabbath.
Now, what did that run you?
Scorpions. Yeah.
Even
not that much. Like, no, that's the thing. Like, I'm a like I like finding deals, So I'm not like dropping like these aren't like hundreds of dollars. Like each of these was probably like 20 tops, But they just, because in Europe, like they made a bunch of these. And they did a bunch of covers in every country. So there's like tons of different ones and they're not worth that much, but some of them are. But like in the US, we had like one cover for every song that came out. So it's like, and honestly, ours were like the weakest covers, maybe because we were more conservative and more like, back in the day, we weren't into like the super cool retro art, but in like these other countries, they were all like letting them do whatever the fuck they wanted. So they looked way cooler. Like I got a Saxon,
Nice.
And Lizzie, I can do this all day. So yeah. Anyways.
See, I'm about to sell everything. I'm about to get rid of it all and go total minimalist. And I'm going to use the money to book a band that hasn't played the States in like 2 decades, but the visas are so insane. And the festival, obviously I've literally spent my life savings on this festival. So if I get out of this year alive, I'm going to just sell everything that I own to book this band, because that's the thing with these festivals. If you don't have like the obscure band that hasn't played a show in 20 years, right? Like you need, like, did you guys go to Hell's Heroes?
No, I didn't get to.
I didn't go this year, but I've gone to every other year.
So who was the highlight, and who was like the obscure one that everybody was dying to see?
You're talking about this year or like previous years?
Any year.
Like last year, Sodom was the big one. Like Sodom
Yeah.
hadn't played Texas or even the US in a really long time. So Sodom, I think, was the big one last year. Like Solitude Eternus, this Dallas doom metal band.
Yeah.
They reunited and played. Like this year, you had like S.A. Slayer, like the band from San Antonio that was like came out around the same time as Slayer, and they like battled over the name. Yeah, them, and like I think they had Saxon played this year and some stuff like that. But yeah, every year Christian, the guy who puts it together, he's always finding someone like that. He's doing exactly what you're doing. He's like trying to find someone to reunite, or like, you know, that makes it worth people traveling, because people will travel from all over the world to go to that, you know.
Totally. Yeah, no, they did a great job. There was a band, our guitar player Frank, he brought up a band, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, how come no one has thought of this yet? And then I started like digging around. I can't say any of them anymore on the podcast, because obviously we're not a stadium show, and these stadium shows, they can scoop the bands up and be like, hey, you want to play with Metallica? And of course, like, I'm doing it. I'm playing that day. We're playing one of them that, you know, the day with Metallica. So I get it. I would never fault a band for being like, yeah, I could play at this, you know, ballroom in a club, or I could play at a stadium with 80,000 people and five, 6, 7, 8 times the money. But yeah, so the visas it's so insane to get. And then the fucked up thing is that a lot of these guys, they can't come over here for whatever reason. And then if it's like a reason that's kind of on the fence reason, where you can get a lawyer and you can maybe plead your case, and you can pay a little extra, like, you gotta, like, I think it's pretty safe to say that with this administration, there's you can do some, like, you know, $100 handshake type of shit.
Get a gold card or whatever it's called, or
right, like, and it's like, okay, come through this line. Like, you've done Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah,
right. And you've done South America. Have you ever had one of those promoters where
we have not done? We haven't done South America. Actually, we're going to Brazil in like September. It hasn't been announced yet, but we're playing like a fest out there. So yeah, that's
nice.
I've heard some crazy stories about going to Brazil, but I think this one will be pretty chill because it's just one show.
Right on. Well, yeah, there's been some in the past, like we did Trinidad and Tobago, or Tobago, I don't know how to say it. We've done Turkey, we've done some wild spots where you go and you don't go through the line like everybody else. And I'm like, oh, that's badass. We need to be able to do that for like Frost and fucking Gall, or I don't know. One of these dudes is like,
actually last year he had Frost at his fest too, like the Triptychon doing Frost, and then also
I meant Frost the drummer, right? Like he like
they're from Switzerland, so I was like, they're probably got to jump through a bunch of hoops too.
Yeah, I was joking with him when I saw him in Norway. This is years ago in Norway. He did the podcast. I was joking with him like, hey, I know what we'll do. We'll fly you to Mexico, and then we'll go and we'll walk you through in Texas, and then but someone will snitch, though. That's the problem. Like, if you got any of those black metal bands in, and then they just magically appeared and did a show, someone would snitch, right? And then they would it would never work, because nobody would let us just have our fun.
Of course.
But what would be your dream band if you could get them together, and there's no customs issues, there's no visas issues? Like, what's the one that you never got to see that you want to see?
Like, they're still alive and it's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. You got one, Seth?
I don't know. This one's got me.
Look at my record, my tapes real quick and see if I got anything.
And they have to still be alive.
Yeah.
Oh man.
See, that's the big kicker right there, because like, you know, I feel like if they're alive, they're probably playing, you know, but maybe not.
There's a few that aren't.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
And I think for whatever reason, either people have tried to get a hold of them or tried to get a hold of surviving members, and they're just not doing anything currently, or they don't want to do anything and they don't want to be found.
Let's see.
But it is crazy that you can literally not have played a show in 30 years and then come back and
I guess a band that is already doing it that I'd be excited about is Beharit. That's pretty sick. I don't know when the last time they had played over here, but I know they're coming.
They're coming?
I think they're doing some shows in Texas, I think.
Really? When is that?
I can't remember. I want to say they're playing. I could be wrong.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think I mean, one that has actually just played in the US, but they only played LA, was Rose Tattoo. And they tried to come over a bunch of times, I guess, and it like gets, you know, so Rose Tattoo would be one for sure.
Definitely.
And then
they might have played. No, did they play the original Milwaukee Metal Fest? I don't think so. They might, but I knew someone that had booked them at one point.
what about Infernal Majesty? Are they Canadian?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know how many people know about them, because they're kind of like a band for the heads, but I mean, that would be sick.
I guess one I could say that probably is pretty obvious that no one has been able to make happen yet would be Edge of Sanity, or any Dan Swano, right? Because he doesn't really. When was the last time he came to the States and performed?
I haven't listened to them in forever, but those records are pretty heavy. What are they? Like, was it early 90s?
Yeah.
Let me say, I mean, honestly, or just a reunion of members, like, you know, Cro-Mags, all the dudes, you know, like doing it together.
Oh, that'll never happen.
You know, like that, or even like Sepultura, you know, Max and Igor back with those with Paolo and Andreas. I mean, that would be something. We just went to Cavalera the other night, and you know, I love seeing them no matter what they're doing. But to see those dudes on stage together again, playing the fucking classics, like it's 1991 or something or whatever, would be something to behold, I think, for all of us that, you know, love that so much.
That's got to happen, right? At some point, it's just gonna be.
I was like, you know, they're putting the band to bed right now, and it's like, I feel like it just opens the door for them to, you know, celebrate that era. You know, nothing against what they did. You know, obviously, huge respect for them for like what they were able to accomplish separately. You know, but it would just be cool to see them together on stage again. You know, I don't know. I know there's a lot of, you know, it's tough, you know, when you separate and you guys all do different things. It's hard to get back together, and like, you know, because you want to feel, you want to be happy and stoked and like have that chemistry on stage again, you know. So I know it's not as easy as just like, you know, should we do this? But that would be really cool to see.
Right, and then it's like, you know, that there's going to be millions involved, especially.
It gets bigger than you have to get more people involved to help, and it's like, it's kind of like one of my favorite bands, The Replacements. You know, they got back together, and it was this whole big deal. And then I feel like they played like 7 shows, and then Paul Westerberg, the singer, was like, I could just play shows by myself and not like have to hire big crews and production and all. Fuck this, you know what I mean? I don't know. He just bailed. He was like, this isn't worth it, you know, which I think is, I don't agree. I would love to see him play, but you know, yeah, it gets complicated when you get different parties involved and more money and more, you know, you need more production. You know how it is.
So what is there? I always, every 5 years I try to go listen to them, and I'm like, they got no fucking riffs. And now I'm like, now you said it, and I'm like, damn, do I gotta open my mind? I'm not. It's not that I'm not into them. Is it that I'm not into them yet? Even though I've tried. I mean, I even tried back in the Columbia House days. I remember vividly throwing the tape out of the window.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, look, I mean, I love riffs as much as the next guy, but I also have different part of my brain where it's like, I know that there's lots of great music that's not just dependent on riffs. Now they do have cool riffs, I would say, but they're not. You can't go in each song like, oh, what's the riff? You know, the riff.
What's the banger? What's the hit? Like, what do I need in my life from The Replacement?
Well, like their big hits, like Can't Hardly Wait was kind of one of their big songs. Bastards of Young.
Okay.
stuff like that. But like but some of the later stuff is really good. His solo shit is really good, amazing. I actually listen to his solo stuff more than anything these days. But I don't know. I go back and listen to the album Tim or the album like Pleased to Meet Me. Those two albums I feel like are a good entry point. And it might not be your thing. It's like Midwest rock, but it's kind of like, it's like working class vibe. It's like they're punks, they're kind of just like shitheads. They were like getting drunk on Saturday Night Live and throwing their guitars around. And there's like a lot of lore around the band. That kind of, if you understand that, I feel like it
helps.
Like you can appreciate everything else. But just the songwriting. I mean, Paul Westerberg's just he's an amazing writer. His lyrics are insane. You're in all that. Like, I think you could probably get more into it, but it may never happen for you.
So you like Husker Du and shit like that?
Yeah, like I'm way into I'm like into the early alternative rock and like all that stuff. I grew up with the Beatles, and that's sort of like has fed into my musical tastes my whole life. So the songwriting element, melody and all that, like that ties into the alternative rock and the Midwest rock and everything that happened with all that. It kind of goes back to all that stuff that I grew up on.
What about you, Seth? What's an artist that has zero riffs that you dig?
Zero riffs that I dig.
Hey, don't call anybody out, man.
Zero riffs.
You have to dig them. They can't have no riffs and you don't dig them. You have to name a band that you have to give them props for being likable. Right, any of your country bit shit you like, they don't have riffs.
Yeah, they got riffs, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I like a lot of country music, so yeah, I like Waylon Jennings and all that old outlaw stuff. I would say they have some licks for sure.
Yeah, licks.
I guess licks count too. You can have.
Yeah, they burned the barns down, man. I don't know. There's some sick ones from there. I mean, there's some cool contemporary country I like too. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of like Turnpike Troubadours, but they're fucking awesome.
Right on.
They're just like from Oklahoma. They're fucking dope. I like some singer-songwriter stuff.
Oasis doesn't really have a lot of riffs. They have a riff here and there, but they're not a riff band.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of do like just chords or chord progressions, right? It's not really.
I mean, it's like it's kind of like pub rock. I mean, it's like they're probably influenced by Slade and some of that glam stuff. But even Slade and T-Rex had riffs, But Oasis is more of just like groove and pushing forward and attitude, like they have that Johnny Rotten thing going on with the vocals. So they're more of like, I wouldn't say they're a riff band,
but one riff will take you around the world. I mean, you get one, and if it happens to be in a hit, like what was that? Like I always reference, we test the PA with that Space Hog. You know that Space Hog jam?
In the meantime,
dude.
Yeah.
That's a riff, bro.
Yeah.
He's got a vocal hook, like a whistle humming woo woo thing, and he's got the fucking lick. I guess it's more of a lick than a riff.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a huge AC/DC fan, so I'm all about the riff carrying the song, and a riff that could get played for 4 minutes straight and literally just play the same fucking riff the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm impressed by that. I mean, who's really good at that is like I always bring up Alice in Chains, dude. They like their songs have two fucking riffs in them, and then they just like repeat two riffs. I mean, not all their songs, but like some of their greatest songs have two parts. But they just like they're like Them Bones it's almost one riff, but it's like 1.5. They do the chorus and then it's like they made this hit out of it. It's very AC/DC like. They're economical. They don't put anything to waste, and I love that.
I do too, yeah. Especially when they are harmonizing and they are building like the scene. Like on something like Rooster, they're building the story, and it's very visual when you're listening to it. So it kind of moves. It keeps it interesting and moves it, even though there's not a lot of parts. Yeah. I just heard a song that was literally one riff all the way through, and I was like, I think it was a Weezer song, and I was like, wow, they just do the different vocal as the verse, pre-chorus, and chorus, but it's kind of the same thing all the way through. I forget which song.
They do that, like, I mean, Hash Pipe is kind of
Hash Pipe, I think that's the one.
Yeah, well, they have the verse, and then the pre-chorus is kind of like the chorus.
It like opens up.
No, the chorus is the main riff. Yeah, you're right. So it's really just sort of the verse and the pre-chorus. That's it. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, obviously AC/DC were the kings at that. You know, they literally he could write the song and the pre-chorus and the verse and the chorus, and it's all going over the same riff. But because the way that his vocal phrasings change and his melodies change, it creates the song the way it is. Yeah. It's crazy.
Do you like any copycat bands? Like, are there any banger, like Rose Tattoo copy bands, or any banger? I know the one, Airborne. I watched them at a bunch of European festivals, and I was like, yo, for a copy band, these guys are fucking throwing down. Like, they had some shit. I was like, damn.
I mean, there were bands from that same era, like in Australia. There was a band called the Angels, also kind of known as Angel City, and they sound just like they have some records that sound just like Rose Tattoo or AC/DC. And I love shit like that. I'm trying to think of who else. Kind of like ass whooping rock and roll shit like that. I mean, yeah, I'm into that. I mean, I'm like, if you write great songs, I don't really care who you're copying, you know. I mean, there's some stuff by Accept that kind of sounds like AC/DC, you know, but like, yeah, but it also sounds like Accept, you know, because they put their own spin on it. I mean, I'm all about just writing good songs, you know. So if it sounds kind of like AC/DC, it's all right, you know.
For sure. And that was back when it wasn't like when, because in the early 2000s and even mid 2000s, that we still had like the stickers where it was like for fans of, like, we didn't have that. Yeah. In the late 80s, early 90s. You couldn't, like, I had to go in the dollar bin and learn the hard way a bunch of hard times, or I had to pay full price and be like, fuck. Like, even when you walk up to the counter and the dude at the counter is like, don't do it, bro. And you're like, but the cover looks cool, the name sounds cool, don't do it. Pavement, that was one of them. He's like, don't do it. And I'm like, Pavement, it sounds hard. Like, is it gonna sound like Crowbar?
This is not for you, Jamie. This is no riffs here, you know what
I mean?
No,
he was like, don't do it, bro.
Is gonna be a mistake. Well, also, this is back when you had to spend like a lot of your hard-earned money on the CD. So if you chose the CD that was the wrong one, you were fucking mad about it. And I remember that shit because I used to sit there for like an hour with a stack of CDs, and I could only leave with one. And if I got the wrong one, you were so fucking mad that you would throw it out the window or throw it in the trash can because you were like, I fucking just spent all my money on this fucking CD, and one song is good on it.
Yeah, or you heard from somebody, or you saw in a magazine like an ad, and it says like members of this band. Like, I remember getting the Grun truck in the dollar bin, and the dude was like, "Don't do it, bro." And I'm like, "But it's the guys from The Accused." I love Martha Splatterhead.
Store clerk that's like, he's literally telling you not to buy it.
I love that because he didn't own the fucking store. He's getting paid $6 an hour or whatever.
Yeah, give a shit. Yeah,
and he was in a band too. But the Grun truck, I'll have to go back and revisit that because I think that was actually okay. It was on Roadrunner, but it was. But if you were a dude who was into The Accused, it was not like that was not flying because they were kind of following the grunge thing. It's like Bad Brains Quickness. Like, I had punk rockers in my school. Oh my god, Bad Brains went metal, and I thought the record's fucking sick. What are you talking about? They're like, no, you can't.
Every one of their records is different, so you kind of have to just, go with them on that journey. But it's all genius in its own way. Like, they're just, there's only so many bands that can pull that off, where they can kind of reinvent themselves on every record and just like not really give a shit what anybody else thinks.
But you guys, for Fugitive and for the future Power Trip, I doubt we're gonna hear like Load Reload, or even, I don't even like Power Trip. Can you do even like your Black album? You can't, right? You're kind of married. What can you do? Like, what's the strategy?
No, look, I don't want to do. I would never make anything that I don't like, and like, there's different places to go. I mean, that's kind of what we've been doing with Fugitive. It's sort of like where, in one way where it's where I'm heading musically, and like exploring some different sounds and styles of like bands that we've always liked, but that we maybe couldn't lean into, like Fugitive gets a little heavier. It's a little more 90s. Like, there's more groove metal stuff happening, like more like, later Celtic Frost, elements of Pantera, things that like, but I don't want to be on the nose. Like, I want to try to just filter it through what I do. So like, you know, I try to just make the through line with all my favorite bands and sounds, you know, and generally if I'm going to do something, I'm able to connect the dots. Like, you know, this, you know, I don't know, Celtic Frost or Pantera idea kind of sounds like something that Metallica or like Cro-Mags could do on a weird record, you know, like I'm always into finding those things. So I feel like there's always stuff we can do more, you know, like you know, we had a bunch of stuff written for another Power Trip record that is still sort of shelved. And that was kind of like, it didn't really sound like the record before it, you know, I mean, it sounds like us, but it doesn't sound, you know, I'm always aware of like every song we've written. And that's what makes songwriting so much harder too, as you keep going, is like, you know, I don't want to write a lesser version of a song we already have in the set, you know? So like, then we have to cut the old song out of the set to play this new version that's not as good. So I'm always like really aware of all that we've done, and I try not to repeat anything or like do anything that wouldn't stand on its own, you know? So it's like, yeah, I mean, there's different places we could go, because we're not just like just a simple thrash band. I feel like a lot of stuff we've been doing, especially with Fugitive, is kind of opening the door for more, I don't know, more groove, more like more rhythm, I guess you'd say.
Seth, you gonna write a note? You gonna ride the note? You gonna hit the note? You scream in key? You know, I mean, shit. Look, I know you were at that Metallica show when Sad But True comes on. I don't even care. Even the most metal elitist, I don't like anything beyond Battery or whatever, beyond, you know, Kill 'Em All. Even they start rocking a Sad But True. Can you hit
Here's a banger,
right? Yeah, so like, can you hit? I could hear that on that blast furnace. You got it in you to hit that note, you know, just one note, bro.
Just one note, maybe one day, I don't know. Maybe just one note.
Hey everybody, if you like today's episode with Blake and Seth from Fugitive, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, or leave us a 5-star review on iTunes so we can get back in the good graces of the algorithm gods. Also, support our sponsors if you'd be so kind. Check out bluegrapemusic.com after the show. They just signed Fugitive, plus they have killer bands on their roster like Gridiron, who also did the Summer Slaughter tour with Hatebreed and Fugitive. Check out bluegrapemusic.com after the podcast today and go support Blue Grape Music, because they support the Jasta Show. All right, everybody. Now back to the show.
Yeah,
like one line, you gotta pepper it in very, very tastefully and sparingly.
Slowly, gotta microdose it into the population.
Yes, because the elitist metal dude is so sensitive to that. You don't want to break his brain. You don't want to break his worldview. He can't go from, you know, swinging an axe to fucking anything like love related or anything too. You can't go like White Snake. You gotta go.
No.
ain't talking about love.
No love. There's enough love in the world.
Nah, right. We're I don't like, when it comes to that type of thing, it's like, yeah, of course you always want to try to write, like, I want to try to connect with people, as many people as possible, but I'm not like, it's all about the context, you know? So it's like, I'm not going to try to force him like a clean vocal in just to like try to get more popular. I wouldn't do that. You know, if it came to us and it was there, I think maybe, but I don't know. Like it's hard, because then you sort of, I feel like with what we do, it would turn sort of into like Biohazard. And we love Biohazard, but I feel like it would just be like, oh, they're just trying to sound like Biohazard. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want that. I don't want them to people be like, oh, he's doing the Evan Seinfeld vocal. Like we love Biohazard. But then it becomes on the nose. It's like, oh, they're trying to sound like Biohazard to like have some melody in there. And I just feel like it wouldn't sound like us, or, you know, maybe if there's some way we can do it our own way, you know.
I don't think it'd be very genuine of me.
But if it's like, if it's self-titled era Biohazard, like what's the, like, tears of blood, he hits the note. I tried. You know, it's just enough where even the tough guys are like, yo, that's hard. Tears of blood still goes hard.
You're talking to two huge Biohazard fans. You know, we what they do is amazing. I'm always afraid of, like, if we just take that and we try to put that in our shit, then people are gonna go, oh, they're ripping off Biohazard with that vocal style. You know, I don't want to, you know, there's been bands that have done that even from our world that I think do a great job at it, but it's always, anytime I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, they're doing the Biohazard thing, you know. And not to say we don't do things that other bands have done, obviously we do, but it's like one of those things where, yeah, I wouldn't want it to be too on the nose. You know, I want that's theirs. You know what I mean? Like Biohazard does that fucking amazing. You know, I wanna let them have that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not how I
Yeah,
see
I
it.
mean, yeah, because if I had to do a remix, say of Blast Furnace, and if you were like, if you go Blast Furnace, like it changes the whole dynamic, right?
You gotta really force that shit in there, and then it's like, okay, these guys are really trying to sing and like get a couple new fans, you know. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Scott Vogel called me. We put out a song called To the Threshold in 2006. Scott Vogel called me. He goes, yo, that part, that one line, what is that? I go, what do you mean? He goes, you hit a note.
You went there, bro.
I was like, bro, it's one note. What's the big deal? No, I love it. It's great. I'm not used to hearing you hit a note. I'm like, yo, you got to do something. Otherwise, you know, it's like, oh, they're just doing the same thing. Which
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, all the way. Do the same thing all the way. Zach Wilde plays, you know that in No More Tears, you know, dun 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 dun. I go, yo, that lick without the squeal, I made a whole career out of that. Just that.
You Jamey, do you remember like right, because I know you guys toured them, and like, you know, you remember No Warning?
Yeah.
Well, they kind of like they were able to sort of pull that off. I mean, you know, I think so. Like on when they started, even on the record on Ill Blood, you know, that hardcore record, which is like one of the best hardcore records ever. You know, he kind of then hit some notes, you know, like on Short Fuse and stuff. He kind of went, you know, it was kind of Biohazard-y, but I feel like when it came out of his mouth, it sounded like him, you know, and like it lended itself to what they did on the next record, you know. But like, I just thought that was cool. Like that always felt like a cool like thing that everybody loves that didn't seem forced. And like, if you can pull it off like that, it can be really cool. And it's cool that they pulled that off. But I think you guys toured together around that time, so I was like,
They got a raw deal. Look, when you roll up to MTV with the dude from Linkin Park, the core ain't riding with you anymore. And it was too bad, because if you just didn't put dude from Linkin Park on any of the marketing materials or in the bio or on anything, if you just didn't talk about it, you know, they're so finicky and they're so fickle. Otherwise, if you listen to that record, you wouldn't, I mean, maybe you would say a couple of the vocal lines are a little Linkin Park-ish, because that was post.
Which record, the Ill Blood or the one after Suffer Survive?
Yeah, the one that was
like Linkin Park produced one, right? Or the one
right.
Yeah.
And that was the fatal flaw, right? But see, now enough time has passed where any of the criers have gotten over it, which is another great thing. Like, you can be, you know, you can go away for 10 years, 20 years, and then, you know, come back. Like, I could see No Warning coming back playing fucking like Coachella and every stage.
Well, yeah, like, you know, it's funny now because I talk about this sometimes. Like, you know, back in the day, I feel like, especially hardcore, was so much more guarded, you know, like, yeah, like you said, like, you do one thing that's not hardcore, you're done, you know. And nowadays, it's, you know, for better or worse, it's so much more wide open. I feel like people that like hardcore like other kinds of music, and they're down with that, you know. Like, I feel like, look at Turnstile. I mean, I don't feel like they lost a bunch of fans when they started singing in all their songs, you know. I think people were just like, oh yeah, they have some singing and like they're doing this now. And obviously they wrote great songs, but it's like, I feel like people are a lot more open to that idea. It's kind of like, you know, if No Warning was around right now and then they put out Suffer Survive, I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh hell yeah, like I like this sound. But you know, it was a different time, and that Linkin Park and all that stuff was happening at that point. That was the predominant popular music. So it was like people were more guarded and like didn't want anything to do with it. But now that it's almost retro, I feel like people would accept it so much more and be like, whoa, they pulled off, like, you know, incorporating that type of music into their hardcore sound. Like, that's so cool, you know. And now, you know, it's just different.
Yeah, like I feel like now, if you were a band that played Sound and Fury, you could cover Linkin Park and the place would go fucking crazy, sing every word.
I think they're not far off from there for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, more power to them, because the whole gatekeeping shit. Like, even when I saw some of the Twitter shit with you guys when you announced the Pantera tour, I thought, all right, yeah, Twitter's going to have their little day of outrage, but it's not real. It doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't move the needle. You go literally a month or two later when you're playing arenas, somebody's tweet like, oh, Riley wouldn't have done this and that. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't really have anything to say about that. Cause it's like, first of all, this dude, like, I'm not going to speak for him and no one should, but like, we were in the van listening to Pantera for years. You know what I mean? We were always, and also, again, not to speak for him, but he was actually a very like thoughtful guy. And I think, things change, times change. And when you get to know people and get to the truth about people or situations or things, you can make different decisions. And I think, I don't think it's anybody's right to say what, he would have said or what we should have done or whatever, but, we're just happy to be playing music again, and we're not gonna, if we get an opportunity, if someone, affords us a great opportunity to, like, play music again and play to lots of people and like treats us really well and all this stuff, like, we'd be fools to do that. We're not.
You did the damn thing, bro. I was so happy because if you turned that down, you would have regret. If you turned it down because of some clown on Twitter who can go viral off of some, whiny fake moralist tweet, you would never forgive yourself. You would go, oh my God. I mean, you literally, because what you did was you created a ripple effect now where all those people in Europe and all those places, they might go down the thrash and hardcore rabbit hole and find, one of these bands who's going to be the headliner, one of these obscure bands that they go down and you guys are the gateway and they go down the rabbit hole. And the next thing you know, this Iron Age is getting back together or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible. Like, I refused open for us when they sounded like a Strife band. We played together and now look at them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anything is literally possible. And people even thumbed their nose up at that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the internet. People are entitled to their opinion. And, I'm not going to tell anybody what to say or do or think or whatever, but, we're solid dudes. We're just trying to play music and we've waited a long time. We've been through so much shit to get back on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years ago, I couldn't even play on stage. I was just sitting in this room, like writing songs, and I'm just thankful to get the opportunity to play again. And like, anybody that reaches out and, like whether it's a big band like Pantera or something like that, wants to do us a solid and like, help us get back on stage and play to a lot of people and like, afford us the opportunity to go make a bunch of people happy in Europe. Like, there's young kids there. There's people that never got to see Power Trip. Like, to allow us to do that, I'm thankful. I'm not like, I'm just
absolutely,
like,
bro. It's amazing.
I judge
you guys
people.
did the damn thing. You stepped up and made it. Like, I said it with Alice in Chains. I said it with Stone Temple. I mean, I said it with every band. I'm on record. You could go back to the first like 7-8 years ago on the podcast. Why should everybody else's career and life end? There's no good reason. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody puts in blood, sweat, and tears. Until you've been on the road, until you've been in a van, until you sacrifice, until you lost your girlfriend, missed your dog, missed your kid's birthday, missed funerals. Shut the fuck up. Like, I love it because that's, you guys make it possible for the next band who suffers a tragedy to do it. You guys, Black Dahlia, and you got to keep doing it because otherwise the losers and the whiners and the people who try to monetize victimhood, they win. And we can't have that. This victim mentality, like, you're not a victim because Power Trip is going on tour with Pantera. Well, it's fucking legendary.
You had a lot of people with us always, that are desperate for attention, desperate for clout. They inject themselves into our story like there's some major player or there's some voice or there's some like, I can't count how many people there's been that like barely knew us, barely knew any of us, or like that we didn't even like that much, that just hung around, that like yap on the internet like they had some important part in our story, like they were super close to someone or they know the truth or this or that. It's like, you don't know shit, like we were in the band together for 15 years, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, we know how we were. We know what we're about, you know, like we know who we are, you know, and it's like people just hop in there and they try to say shit on the internet. Like, I don't even know who you are. I've never even heard of you. And he barely knew you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to be a part of this whole thing. And they're just mad because they can't be a part of it anymore. They can't use it.
And actually it's a gift to you guys, because then they expose the snakes in your own grass. They always expose themselves. And when they do, you got to look at it as a gift and a blessing, because you know, most of the time it's like, okay, yeah, you lost your fucking guest list or you lost whatever. There's always some weird ulterior motive. And or like you're saying, like with the clout or like a tweet going viral. But man, I was so happy when I saw that, because it's the victories like that have to keep happening, so that it just goes back to what I was saying about the lyrics and just kind of the outlook or just music in general. Like otherwise, what the other alternative is bad. It's nihilism. It's going to continue that cycle of, you know, needing to, you know, numb the pain in ways that will become destructive, patterns that will become destructive. Whereas what you're doing is you're breaking the generational curse, so to speak, right? I guess Alice in Chains was probably the biggest example of it. And it was a hard, like they had to literally deal with a lot of harsh, terrible stuff, but they stayed the course, and a good song changes everything. Good performance changes everything, and time to show people like, yeah, why this, if anything, the music and the legacy and the name should live on. Otherwise you're letting the darkness win.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say. I mean, we're just trying to like have the story not end in complete tragedy, you know, and it's like, we're not trying to do the wrong thing. We're just trying to play the songs to people. And like, you know, there's, like I said, there's so many people that have come up to me over the last 5 years. And it's like, I never got to see Power Trip. You know, I'm like, I just turned 18. I never got to see you guys, like all this stuff. And if we didn't think we could do it justice, we wouldn't do it, you know? And then like, no one is replacing anybody. No one is, you know, Riley will always be Riley, and his memory and everything he did will always endure. And, you know, we're here to honor that, you know? I'm never going to like ever take anything away from it. I'm so proud of what we did together and everything. You know, he's such an awesome singer, and I'm so lucky to have been in a band with him. But like, you know, we just want to keep enjoying playing the songs and like bring them to people that never got to see it before. And, you know, if we can bring something new to the table and like make it different in a cool way, that's great. You know, like we're not here to erase any of that. You know, we're just trying to kind of like, you know, it started with like, hey, you know, maybe it's not the right time to do this. Maybe this isn't going to happen. Cause like for years we didn't force something out there. You know, it was like, it took years of, you know, does this feel right? Does this make sense? And like, by the time me and Seth started writing and playing together and playing good shows, and like he was kind of growing as a singer, it was like, hey, would you want to maybe try to do this? Yeah, sure. And then we try it. It's like, hey, like you actually sing these songs like really well, you know, and you bring you're your own person, you know, and like it just felt right. And as we keep playing, it kind of feels better and better every time, you know, like we play to more people. And, you know, especially going on that big European tour, it was like, okay, this is a good test. You know, a lot of these people don't know who we are, or even if they do, you know, what are they going to think of it? And then when everybody sort of embraced us and like was into what we were doing, I feel like the reviews kind of came in that people were down, you know? So like, if it had gone differently, you know, we might feel differently about it, but I think we all are having a really good time. And, you know, I'm just happy that we can, you know, keep this music relevant. And, you know, I think that helps everybody, you know, especially, you know, Riley's memory and everything. I'm just, you know, I think it would be worse to just let the songs collect dust and to like have it fade into obscurity. But if people can find out about, you know, his lyrics and the songs that he helped write, I think that's a beautiful thing. So, you know,
absolutely. And I say Power Trip is whatever you say it is. It's what you want to do. It's what you say it is. It's not what anybody on the fucking internet says. You guys are Power Trip, and that's awesome. And if you put out a record a year from now for the next 10 years, I would be thrilled. Like, because that's what we need. We got to go back to the Kiss Iron Maiden days where all these bands pump out the music, stop with the gatekeeping, stop with what anybody or anyone that stops the creative process cut out of your life and just keep the riffs flowing, even if it's fucking Pavement and Replacement style riffs. Keep them flowing. And thank you for the time, guys. And we're really excited to have Fugitive play. Everybody go get your tickets May 16th. You'll see Blake jump up there with us doing the SOD tribute. The rave.com/metalfest for tickets. And then what's the plan after that? More Power Trip touring, more Fugitive touring, festivals?
Yeah, we have right now we have a couple Fugitive songs that we're going to put out that we recorded back in September. So we're going to do that. And I think those will be really cool for everybody. We're doing like a video on Friday for one of the songs. And then we have a lot
is
of
it like is it a video with a narrative, or did you write a treatment, or is it like are you doing dudes in a warehouse? What's the video?
Well, we're gonna kind of do it like our last video, the Blast Furnace video. It's gonna be different, but it's the same. It's my buddy who's the filmmaker, and we have some different ideas. It's gonna go along with the lyrics, and there'll be a live element and all that, and we'll just fuck around, walk around, and film cool shit, and like, we're just I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but
it's gonna turn out.
Vignettes. You're gonna do some vignettes.
Yeah, we're gonna dress it up and everything.
Yeah,
no, it'll be cool. We're gonna do that, and then we have a bunch of more songs written, and then obviously Power Trip's we have a couple weeks in Europe in the summer of fests and some headliners, and then we have a bunch of fests in May here in the US, and there's some stuff the rest of the year. We got a really cool show in September that's pretty badass that'll probably get announced soon. That's like at an arena.
Is that Pennsylvania?
Yeah. So that'll be cool. I can't say anything about that.
I'll give a hint on the Patreon. The Patreon's where we get the good stuff, but I don't want to get in trouble, but I know about that one. Yeah.
There's a lot, like Power Trip's got a lot of cool stuff, which we're really happy to keep playing those songs and doing all that. So I don't know. Like after that, I think we're just gonna figure out like, what are we doing? But I just want to put out music any way I can. And the good thing is we have two bands now that are sort of different sounding bands in their own right. So I think it'll be cool to have both. And like this new Fugitive stuff that'll come out, I think people will like a lot. It sounds like us, but also obviously like Power Trip the same way that I always write songs and my style. So I think it's a lot of good stuff. I think that's like a little bit for everybody. So just happy to be playing music and putting out stuff. Like that's all I'm here to do. So that's all I really care about.
So send it to me when you get a chance. I can't wait to hear it. And is it on Southern Lord, or what label is it coming out on?
The Fugitive stuff?
Yeah.
No, it's not Southern Lord. It's Blue Grape music.
Being on Southern Lord, did you ever ask him about sorry I'm keeping you guys so long.
All good.
But did you ever ask him about the Sun O, or what is it called? Sun? What is it?
Yeah, so I think Sun, or I don't know anything about that band. So
okay, but did you ever see him?
No.
Okay, did you ever listen to him?
No.
You're great, Blake. I love you, dude. Dude, that's great. You're like my dude Nick. You know Nick from Toxic Holocaust. He used to be in Toxic Holocaust. He's in Many Eyes right now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
He knows a lot about music, but doesn't listen to certain stuff. Like I thought for sure you would have. But see, I'll just tell you, no riffs.
Can't comment because I never heard it. So
right.
I've heard of it. I mean, I don't know why I'd never.
It's the dude from the label. It's Greg's band, right?
Yeah, I think I just maybe assumed it wasn't really my cup of tea. Like maybe it's Drone or something. It's like that's a world I'm not really in. So I was like, I've heard that they're cool live and all that, but I've never taken the time to listen to them or anything.
What about you, Seth?
I couldn't say a song. Never seen them. I know the name. It's like Sun O.
Yeah.
But I've never.
People seem to like them. I mean, I've heard good things. I've never listened.
Oh, I've had people write me whole diatribes because I've talked about them on the show. I have people write me like a 4-page letter about Sonic, meditations and all this stuff, and I was like, okay, wow, cool. All right, well, we'll save that for another show. Go listen to it. Let me know what you think.
Right. Cool.
But thank you guys for the time and shout out to Dave. Right, Blue Grape is Dave. Shout out to Wrath. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
I can't, Case on the other hand, whatever. That's a story for another show. Like he never liked hardcore. Like, why did you sign Hatebreed? Why did you let them sign Hatebreed and Madball and Earthquakes? Like, and now he's signing Fugitive. Like, but it's Dave. It's Dave's the guy. So as long as Dave's in your corner, then you're all right.
Yeah, he's the best. Very lucky to be involved with him. But he's always been, a friend of Power Trips and always looked out for us and always been like a guy I always wanted to work with and be involved with. So I'm just like love getting to work with him.
Yeah, shout out. Big shout out. All right, everybody. Come see Fugitive and Milwaukee Metal Fest. Go check out the new songs. And yeah, come back anytime. And I'll and what SOD song you gonna do? You gonna do United Forces or what?
We're doing United Forces and then Right Brigade. We're gonna do the Bad Brains cover.
We are? Oh,
that's what I heard.
I learned another one.
Yeah, I don't have the current memo, but that's what Scott told me. So
I want to do a song twice. I was like, let's just do one twice so that we don't have to learn another one.
Yeah, let me hop in on Kill Yourself or Freddy Krueger. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play another one.
Seth, how tall are you, Seth? Are you tall enough to be Freddy Krueger during the set? Can we dress you up in the
I'll do it. Fuck, let's do it.
Yeah. I got the mask, I got the glove, I got the sweater. Will you do it?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Dude, yes.
He's not that tall though, just letting you know.
How tall are you?
6 foot.
He's 6.
So, yeah, you're way taller than Scott and me and Rev, and you're not taller than Lilker, but it'll still look good. Like if you come out and you're like in between me and Lilker and you're Freddy,
that'd be funny.
Okay. Dude, that's great. I was gonna like auction it off for like a fan to do it, but if you want to do it, that would be
I'm in. Count me in.
Or do you want to be Sergeant D?
Oh man,
because we got that mask too.
Yeah, that I love, man. The whole record.
Oh man, either one. Sign me up.
All right, Think about it. Yeah, because if this festival doesn't break even, I might have to be like, be Freddy for $10,000. Like sell it. Like then I'll be like, Seth, listen, we gotta, sorry, you be
Freddy for a day.
Yeah, Freddy for a day. Load us in. Act like Freddy during the song.
Act like Freddy. Just all day long.
Announce us. Like have Freddy come out and announce us the greatest tribute band in the world. The hottest tribute band. All right, guys. Thank you for the time. We'll see you May 16th. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Quick little outro. Want to thank you all for your patience. I know 3 months is a long time to be off, and you would have heard this episode way sooner had I not been finishing up Summer Slaughter, European tours, festivals, booking the Milwaukee Metal Fest 2026, putting out the new Many Eyes and the new Kirk Winstein, which you can pre-order now over at martyrstore.net, and a ton of other stuff that we have going on. The Patreon was rocking, though, for the last 2-3 months. You can always support us by heading on over to patreon.com/Jasta, or you can listen to all the archived episodes over at gasdigital.com. If you want to donate to the show, it's $Jamey Jasta, Jamey Jasta on Cash App or Venmo at Jamey Jasta, or you could just hit up the PayPal, paypal.me/Jasta. Any amount gets you a shout out on the show, and any amount is greatly appreciated as we bring the podcast back to full force. Support our sponsors if you'd be so kind. Check out rainingphoenixmusic.com after the show today. Check out new releases from bands like Insight, who toured on Summer Slaughter with Hatebreed and Fugitive and Gridiron. They absolutely killed it, and their new record, Savage New Times, kicks ass. RainingPhoenixmusic.com. Also support Blue Grape Music, one of our Milwaukee Metal Fest sponsors for 2026. They got Gridiron on there now. Fugitive is signed, and plus they have Silly Goose, I think, just signed, and a bunch of other new bands. You can see it all over at BlueGrapeMusic.com. Tell them Jasta sent you. Also, all weekend long, depop.com/Jasta. Any items, 2-3 items, I think, anything over 2 items, you get 10% off. depop.com/Jasta. And of course, go pre-order the new Kirk Winstein Ethereal Waves album and the new Many Eyes Combust EP over at martyrstore.net. You guys are going to love these 2 releases. Two of probably my most proud moments of doing the label. These guys are absolutely killing it. We put Light Age out from Many Eyes earlier this year. Obviously, we did the Jasta for All record, which now has a repress, 200 on emerald green swirl vinyl. Get them right now at martyrstore.net. All right. I love you all. Thank you all. Drink your coffee, do your push-ups, listen to death metal, and I will be back with who do we got coming on? We got a bunch of good episodes coming up. Keith Caputo is going to be on next week. And don't forget, I'm heading out on tour with Life of Agony and Jasta. It is my only Jasta tour of the year, so come check us out. We start at Starland Ballroom on September 20th. All right, that's it. Thank you all. Love you all. Bye-bye.